Greetings, dear people of God at Trinity. Thank you for joining me for this week's reflection. I want to share with you thoughts about the celebration of life that we offered as a community, a loving community, for Margaret Gill. I learned a lot in the shaping of that service, which isn't ironic given that I learned so much from Margaret in the decades of our friendship. And so it was with her final celebration and the interment of her ashes in the memorial garden. So I want to share those reflections, those observations with you. First of all, and these are not requirements, these are just what happened given circumstances. And so here we go. First of all, Margaret's service had to be delayed a long time after she actually died. There really wasn't a chance for the community to gather and grieve together and comfort one another and let her go. We waited and we watched the numbers, and Stephen was amazing, calm and open-hearted, and made a decision about when not only a service in Palo Alto would occur, but a service in Maine, which was 2 weeks before the service that we offered last Friday on the 17th. That's the first thing I wanted to observe. In people's lives these days, we move around. We may have a second home, we may have dear family roots somewhere else in the country. And it was a wonderful thing to gather people in each sacred, special, loving place for a celebration of life and for the burial, in this case, of half of Margaret's ashes in Maine and in Palo Alto. The other thing that was very beautiful was what Stephen suggested that I had actually never done before. And it was to take the bag of ashes before it was placed in the ground in the memorial garden and spoon with one of Margaret's silver spoons a spoonful of her ashes into the hole that had made to hold the bag of her ashes. Not only did their children put a spoonful in, but Stephen put a spoonful in, and then the grandchildren placed dirt and seeds of new life, plants that would grow into the ground. And then the bag of the rest of her ashes was placed, and everyone used the shovel to shovel a shovelful of dirt to fill the hole, taking a moment to offer a prayer or thanksgiving for her life. Next, the celebration was outside. It had to be. And much as we would have wanted to celebrate Margaret's life in the sanctuary where she sang, where she and Stephen worshiped, it was not meant to be. So we were outside in the roofless church, surrounded by flowers that the Altar Guild had created, and were on stands flanking the congregation. And we had umbrellas that Alicia knew exactly where to place because she took pictures the day before of the time of the service and knew where the sun would be the hottest. And there was something about Margaret's love of gardening that was even more palpable and real, because we were in the midst of the incredibly beautiful space that is the Trinity grounds. The other thing was the celebration of music, the offering of music, which was sprinkled throughout the service. Margaret and Stephen have been deeply supportive of and celebrating of the San Francisco Conservatory of Music. And so several alums came and joined our choir, thanks be for Ron Valentino, and sang the most beautiful songs that reminded me that in times of suffering, music is an incredible balm, a deep healing balm, and so it was on Friday. The other thing about the service was that a book was created, a tribute book that included the written tributes of children of Bill Swing, of Stephen himself, and of friends, so that the people could actually have reflections to linger with and see pictures and take home, held to their hearts. And I found that so poignant. There's only so much one can say. It's only so long that a service can be, especially these days. So to have that tangible treasure trove of Margaret's Bible was a gift that they all gave to us. I wanted also to share with you one of my one of the most important images that I often refer to in a time of grief, in the face of the loss of someone we love. But before I do, I want to say one more thing about the length of time. The last 3 years of Margaret's life, she declined dramatically, and it was painful and difficult to experience, to witness that the loss of so much of who Margaret was. There was still a twinkle, there were still moments, but there was a lot of loss. But because so much time had elapsed, all of us were able to be lifted beyond and back to times when Margaret was truly and absolutely and fully who she was, passionate and compassionate and determined. And I give thanks for that. I don't think it would have happened if we had had that celebration as close to her death as we might have. So I want to end my reflection with these thoughts. I am inspired and challenged by the image of the communion of saints as balcony people. They stand in the balcony of our hearts and urge us on. They know the words to our song when we have forgotten them. Margaret now lives in the balcony of our hearts, leaning over and urging us to have courage and confidence, to stay calm, to come prepared, to spare no expense when I travel, to support the arts, to eat more chocolate chip cookies, to let my husband cook, to enjoy my grandchildren, to remember not to take myself too seriously, to cherish tradition and support innovation, to mentor young women, to love intensely, to serve beauty, to pray. Margaret, you are now home, safe, in a beautiful, sacred place we call heaven. Lucky heaven. Lucky heaven. Amen.